Hello guys, how are you? Hope everything's okay. Yeah, due to the last news, we have to use the latest technologies and continue our lessons. So, yeah, today we're going to talk about writing task 1, and I'm going to mix slow, so you will see my face and then you will see the presentation and hear my voice. And as this is my first experience in this kind of lesson, we'll see what will happen, yeah, and I will be happy to get your feedback. Okay, let's start. Writing task 1. So today we're going to talk about types of data presentation, and essay structure. Usually there are 3 types of data: dynamic, static, and processes. Yeah. So dynamic. Why it is called dynamic? Because it shows the same data but in different periods of time. The changes of the same data in different periods of time. However, static, it shows different data but in one particular moment, yeah, as this one shows like consumer goods in 2010, yeah. And third one is processes. This is like how something is made or how the water moves around. So how the data is presented? Usually it is presented in bar charts, these vertical bars, in line graphs, also tables, maps and plans. This is dynamic actually because it shows like a before and after the reconstruction or recreation. Diagrams, yeah, and pie charts. So task 1 essay structure is very easy. Actually it looks like a filter, yeah. You start from the very general, then you make it like a more focused, and at the very end you focus to the detail, like so this is kind of 3-layer filters, like with different fractions. Introduction. In the introduction you just paraphrase the task and introduce the legend. It means Legend means the type of data. I mean the numbers, the percentage, or the what does the x-axis show, or a y-axis show, or what kind of table it is. I mean, if it's a percentage, or if it's like a million people, or tons, or liters, or students, whatever. So this is legend. I mean the indicator of the item. Overview. It's like when you look at the chart from the far distance, you can't see the exact numbers, you can't see the details, but you see the general picture. I mean, where does it start and where does it end? I mean, you look at main trends and look at outstanding data. Like a main trends, it's like what is happening in general. If the item has risen, or it has fallen down, or it fluctuated in general, or like what happened in general, like the start and the finish, in the dynamic. You don't look at what is in the middle. You just look at point A and point B. And also you look at outstanding data. Outstanding data is like the highest point, or the lowest point, or something that draws your attention for the first time. Okay, and it is crucial to compare and contrast on this stage. Yeah, Usually it takes like a couple of sentences, and then you go to the focus. Yeah, when you focus, you give details, you give the numbers, and you compare and contrast here as well. I think it's better to look at the sample. Yeah. Now I would like you to look at this typical question from task 1. We can see that this is dynamic bar chart. Why it is dynamic? Because it shows the period of time from 1918 to 2011, and it shows the same data each year. Yeah, the households in owned and rented accommodation. We start from introduction. So as I mentioned before, you just need to paraphrase the task, yeah, and introduce the legend. It will look like this. So the provided bar chart depicts the comparison of owned and rented housing percentage in England and Wales from 1911 to 1918 to 2011. I'm sorry. And then we go to the overview. So first thing you'll need to look at overview is main trend. Yeah, we can see that main trend 1, households in owned accommodation, generally it rose. Yeah, generally it rose like from above 20% to above 60%. So it's like 3 times. Another main trend is households in rented accommodation, which fell down from maybe 78% to like 36%. So it's like almost twice, yeah, let's say. And outstanding data. What is the most outstanding data in this chart is that in 1971, yeah, both of these items they showed the same percentage. Yeah, so this is outstanding data. So these are 3 things that you need to show in the overview, and it will look like this. So generally, households in owned accommodation has risen 3-fold, while rented housing has shown opposite trend and fell down almost twice. So in this sentence we showed 2 main trends, and what about the outstanding data? So it will look like this. Another interesting fact is that in 1971 both types of accommodation leveled off at the point of 50%. So usually you can match the introduction and overview together and make one big paragraph, yeah, and start your essay from this. Now let's turn to the main body. Yeah, in overview we represented 2 main trends. Yeah, so this will be kind of outline for you. And in the body of the essay you're going to talk about each of these trends in detail. Yeah, that is why it is called focus in the structure. So let's focus on the owned accommodation first. Yeah, owned accommodation in 1918 was at its lowest point, representing just over 20%, in contrast to rented accommodation, which was at its peak in the same year, showing 77%. I know that I said, yeah, we were going to focus only on the owned accommodation. However, it is important to show the contrast. Yeah, and that is why I gave a little bit about rented accommodation and showed its contrast, because it's really it is like a 2 absolutely opposite indexes. So let's continue. 1939 and 1953 we can see that it was at the same level, and then it increased a lot. So between 1939 and 1953, owned accommodation rose and reached just above 30%, followed by the dramatic rise until 2001, escalating to its highest point of almost 70%. Yeah. However, in the last decade, owning accommodation fell down slightly to 64%. So, I think I've included everything concerning this trend. Yeah. If to speak another trend, which is like a totally opposite, we can say something like this. So, turning to the rented accommodation households, their proportion declined in 1939 and remained stable until 1953 at 68%. From 1961 to 2001, this index showed enormous decrease, falling to its bottom point of almost 30%. Nevertheless, renting accommodation increased a bit in 2011 to 35%. That's it. If you will focus on this, let's say you can see that I've used the same words like owned accommodation, but in different places, yeah, and in different combinations, like owned accommodation, so like owning households, or like owned households, or owning accommodation. So it's up to you, yeah. But one thing you need to remember, don't use the same words in a row in one sentence, yeah. Also, it is very important to use the discourse markers, like in contrast, and nevertheless, however, turning to. Also, it is important to give complex sentences, yeah, and to use a proper grammar. I think that's it. Now I'm going to give you one task, and you will have to write an essay, analyze it as this was done in this video, and send me back the ready essay to check and give a feedback for you. Good luck, guys.